started off today looking to use up some red that I had on my brush, and then I decided to deepen the red with some brown, because one of the universal rules of red is that you don't use black to darken it, you actually use brown. So I did that, and then I suddenly had this idea that I wanted to look like a tattered Victorian wallpaper wall. So I've started off here with a very liberal amount of paint. And you can tell I'm sick with bronchitis at the moment. I actually filmed this a while ago. Now the paint's still slightly wet, and you'll see that I lift up some of the paint when I actually do this, but you know, I was a bit eager. So these are one of the stencils that Claudia Rossi gave me for Christmas last year, and I just absolutely love them. So I'm using a buff, so I'm not using a white, I'm using a titanium buff. You can see I've just lifted a little bit of the paint up, but I don't care, it sort of gives that tattered look. And I go over again, because the paint's, you should wait till the paint's a little bit drier, but I liked it so that, because it kind of went into the wetness of it. And we definitely have that kind of slight wallpapering effect occurring here. And then I just wanted to smear it a bit, so it kind of looked washed out and tattered a little bit more. I love it. I love it. I love this the way it is. And now that I'm completely kind of in love with the background, I sort of thought, you know what? This page really is just going to be about the background. So I'm giving it a quick dry off. And I often tape these when I'm Skyping with my friends. So when you see the keyboard, it's usually me typing that I'm ready to Skype, and in the foreground, where you can't see the screen, I'm actually chatting to someone while I'm doing this. It's a way to kill two birds with one stone, I guess. And one of the things I like about Skyping my friends is I can do art at the same time and even film it and then do a voiceover later on. Okay, so now I'm putting some black in, and I'm trying to keep it very light and again not work too hard with it. Using a Pebeo stencil then, just a plain checkered stencil. I don't know how long it's taken me to get a plain checkered stencil. I've looked for one for years, and then finally I found that one and went, yep, that's about the right size. So now I'm getting some Schmink black ink, and I tell you what, I love the Schmink inks. They are just lovely. Just giving it a bit of a spray and allowing it to just feather down over the page. Because I really love how that looks. And I didn't want it to look really, really black. I just kind of wanted it to look old and scungy. And even then, it's taken some of the checkerboard paint off, and faded it. I love that. So you've got parts of the pages now that look older, parts of them that look newer, brighter. You can see that the ink has gone across and through that paper. And I've already gessoed those pages underneath. So now I'm thinking, what more will I do with this? So of course with my Mash It Up journals, I like to be able to use anything and everything. And I'd just been given a set of these awesome stamps by my friend Bernice. She'd sent over a care package from the Netherlands and given me a great set of stamps. This crackle stamp I've had for a while, but I love it. Anyway, so now I'm building a larger stamp full of all these smaller shapes, which are all postmarks and things like that. Yeah, so I put all these smaller stamps in here, and then I create a random background stamp that I can use in any different kind of direction, because it's just to add interest. It's not actually to be highly visible, just to add interest. So you can see that here. I love that. So then you can see kind of how the stamps work. I do that quite a lot. I have a 6x6 background stamp block that I use to do the same thing as well. I had actually had visions of this actually turning out better, but it didn't. So it just becomes another part of the background as well. Had actually thought that, yeah, I might actually do this better, but yes, it didn't work as well as it come out as one as one. But she just sort of peeks out there. Her face peeks out. But still, the background stays intact. The background is the background, and everything is in the background, and nothing comes to the foreground. And I'm getting some of my fabric paper. I actually don't think I'm using it. I've still got that little square sitting on my table, so I didn't use it. But I certainly thought about it. Oh no, I did use it. I used the butterfly off it. There we go. So I did use a little bit of my fabric paper, which makes that Tim Holtz tissue paper butterfly look completely different than what it did originally. Because I just wanted to add a little bit of shabby extraness. So now I'm thinking, oh, I've got a piece of paper, which is kind of where I got the idea for this, but it's a little bit more orange. So I'm putting that on, and then I'm going to meld the colours into the page. You notice that sometimes I use glue, sometimes I use matte medium. For these sorts of things where I'm going over the top, I don't want a heavy duty kind of a finish, I will use glue. So I'm starting my process again of just adding in. Now I'm using some red, just toning that piece of paper in. So now I'm using some golden burnt umber paint. It gives it a deeper kind of a tone and changes it, but whilst toning it into the rest of the page. I'm just thinking. A lot of my process involves a little bit of thinking. I've got some new Pebeo India ink there, and I thought I'd give that a go in my dip calligraphy pen. But it didn't like writing over the uneven surface nearly as much, so what I decided to do was actually write some thoughts down that are there but they're not there, and then you've got this hint of writing all over the background, but you can't really tell what I'm saying. So then I decided to clean off the nib, and that created the dark areas in the page. And all I did then was just blot them off, or spread them around with my finger and blot them off. So my only thought here was then to add a little bit of white in as a contrast, because the only words you can really see out of what I've just written there are "don't know." So I started writing a few random things in, again, the golden paint. But because it had water in it, when it dries, it just looks faded and old. So at the moment it looks a little bit darker, but it actually blends into the background and looks faded and old. So I'm just using a white Signo pen here, a fine one, to just add in a little bit more colours, and because it's going over slightly wet background, it's a little bit watery, and then I've blurred those letters. And that essentially completes my page. I hope you like it. It is a little bit different to what I do on a general basis, but it really reflected what I was feeling on that night that I was talking. Ciao for now. Learn something new. It keeps you young.